Hi everyone, today we are going to talk about making sculpey beads using a oil-based modeling clay. So it's different than regular clay in that it comes in lots of colors, and instead of putting it in the kiln, we use a toaster oven to bake it for a short period of time. The pros are you can get some really cool designs. This is a cane, so I'm going to show you how you can make some of these today. So it's a repetitive pattern. The color is built in, so you don't have to do a glazing step. And so that's kind of fun. The negative of it is that they are less sturdy. They can break when you're putting wire through them. But for the most part, they're really just cool elements to create. So with these colors, you can use them all separately. You can also mix them together. So if I liked this pink and this pink, but I wanted something in between, I could mix them up, massage them in my hand, and get either a marble effect, or if I keep mixing, I could combine them together. But I'm gonna show you how to do basic canes. So a cane is just a repetitive pattern. So something like this one, where we see some pinks, some grays, and some purples repeated, I can take some of my different colors that I like. So I've got these three right here. I just used a small stick to roll them flat. And what I can simply do is stack them on top of each other. You don't need to slip and score, you just need to use pressure to combine the two pieces, or the three pieces in this case, together. So I'm gonna roll them just so they're connected really well. And then I would use an X-Acto knife to cut the piece in half, and then make sure to stack it up once more on top. So just to show you this a little better, I'm gonna set them right on top of one another, and then I'm going to press again. And you continue to do this over and over. Now I'm showing you a very small example, but you would probably use more clay if you wanted to make a lot of beads like this. If I want to compress those lines, so making them much more thin when they're together, I can keep pressing the clay down, and I can keep cutting it in half and keep stacking it on top of one another. So this is kind of an endless process. It's really up to you what you are trying to achieve. I'm going to show you a close-up here, what I have so far. So how you would take and turn this into a bead is, once they're all attached, I usually give it a little bit of time to rest, because as you're working with the clay, it gets warmer and it gets softer. And we want to be able to cut it into a clean line bead with our X-Acto knife. So keeping everything clean is good, and giving it some time. So pretend I gave it some time, and let's say I really like this surface design that I got. Maybe this will be the front of my bead, and I want to put a hole through here. So I'm just gonna cut the bead in whatever shape I want, and if I want it to be multiple, I could cut it in half, but you can basically cut off those imperfect sides. Now remember, I'm rushing this a little bit. It would be better to wait a little bit longer so that the clay is a little bit cooler before I cut it. So now I have my bead, okay? And in this case, I need to figure out where the hole is gonna go through. And I think I'm actually gonna put it right here. And not only do you wanna push your needle tool or your toothpick through, but you wanna do a little wiggle with it to make sure the hole is big enough so that you can get your wire or your thread through. Okay, so that's a very simple cane. Another example, so taking some of the sculpey clay, you can roll it out into coils. I've done that already here with some white and some blue. I'm gonna add one more blue to it. It's gonna be a very heavily blue pattern. Now from here, I could do things like twisting these together, so I get those streaks of white coming through, and I could do the same kind of cutting. There are thousands of different types of canes out there, so it's really up to you, like how much research you wanna do, if you wanna Google a bunch of them. But by cutting and continuing to put them together, you can see it's starting to make this kind of polka dot shape. Now I could take my rolling pin, flatten it. In this case, I didn't clean my rolling pin, so now I have a little bit of gold on there. But I can keep pressing, and then I could do things like stacking it too. So it's really kind of about playing with it, figuring out what colors you want, and then what type of design you are looking to create. But you just continue to work, and then you can hopefully cut multiple beads out of that form. Now, what you do with this once you're done, oh, I guess I should show you one other thing. You can do things like adding things to the surface of your clay. So if I take this tiny gold ball and I want to add some polka dots on it, I can just take, roll them up, set them on top, but remember you have to compress it in or it's really not going to stay. So if I just set those there, they're not gonna really stick. So I'm gonna use my rolling pin, I'm gonna press them in. And let's say now I really wanna make this into a ball. So I want it to be more of a round bead. I can use my fingers, blend it up, and you can see all of a sudden I have kind of a cool looking bead with some little polka dots on it. Once again, before I bake it, I'm gonna put my hole through. And now we have toaster ovens in class, so once you're ready with a bunch of these, I will cook them in the toaster oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then from there, the final step is once again, our trusty Mod Podge, which we used in our wood video as well. You can coat the outsides of them in this shiny clear coat and it just makes them last longer. You can leave them matte, but they just are a little less sturdy than if you add that Mod Podge to it. So those are the basics of working with Sculpey. I look forward to seeing what you do.